Good evening. Welcome to the February 2nd, 2026 Maine Community Resilience Partnership Grant Public Workshop. The time is 6:01 p.m. We'll be opening this workshop, and I have Jim Kelley here, who Alicia has been working with on the grant application. Yeah.
Technology works first shot. It's gonna be a good day. All right. So as they said, I'm with York County Soil and Water Conservation District. As far as this grant program in particular, I'm here as a service provider for the town of Limerick. So I'm in the capacity of just working with the town to assist with enrolling in the partnership, which I'll tell you folks about in a minute, and then the ability to apply for grant funds through the Community Action Grant Program. So I'll just give you a little brief overview about what this grant program is and how it came to be. So this grant program came out of the Maine Won't Wait, which was a 4-year climate council strategy. The goals of that Maine Won't Wait was primarily focused on reducing emissions, avoiding the costs of inaction, fostering economic opportunity, and advancing equity. From those goals came the Community Resilience Partnership. And what that is a grant program that's state money. This money has already been earmarked for this grant. And once the town enrolls in the partnership, which right now this workshop is part of the process of enrollment. Once the town has been enrolled, then the town will be eligible to apply for a grant. The grant itself is called the Community Action Grant, and for one single town, you have up to $75,000 that you can apply for in the grant. And how this grant enrollment process works, just to sum it up for you guys. So back in, October, September, I had reached out to Alicia, explaining about the grant process, our role as a service provider, and she said she would be interested in moving forward and using us as a service provider. Once that was completed, then we worked with the town and your selectmen on some series of self-evaluation, self-assessment forms. It's just a series of forms just to get an idea of what the town has, like current projects, past projects. What do we think the town's doing well? What does the town want to work on? Stuff like, it's kind of like a pulse check for the towns. So we completed those, and then you can see right now in this hold. So that's where we are right now. We're in that hold, which is the community workshop. So the whole idea of this community workshop is to invite you folks in, explain to you a little bit about the grant program, and then the handouts that you'll see, those are basically the options that you can use the grant money for. So after this workshop is over, we'll take the feedback from you all that we got here. We'll sit down and kind of come up with a priority list of possible projects that the town would want to use the money for. Once that's completed, the town will draft a municipal resolution. That's probably about the quickest part of this whole process. After the municipal resolution is completed, then the actual application gets submitted to enroll in the partnership. That's a lot of paperwork, administrative stuff that I will be primarily helping out with. And that's a pretty quick turnaround. Once we get the green light, the town has been enrolled. Then the town will be able to apply for the actual grant funds. As of right now, we don't have an exact date on an RFA for the grant application. We're expecting sometime in May, but we don't have an exact date for that. So once we find out the deadline, we'll apply for the grant funds, and it'll earmark basically the town of Limerick is applying for $75,000 through the Community Action Grant for targeting XYZ projects, whatever the town comes up with. Once that's approved by the state, so I'll submit that application in. Once everything's approved, which is usually, I'd say probably about 4 to 6 weeks, once that's approved, then it's usually only a few weeks before the town would actually get the money. So it's a very quick turnaround. So this whole process is kind of broken down into 2 parts. Enrolling in the partnership, which is what we're doing right now, and it's really the bulk of the work. Once the town's enrolled, then you're able to officially apply for the grant funds for whichever projects you deem that you want to target. If you look at the handouts I gave you all, and you're probably initially looking at them like, what the heck am I looking at? There's like 900 different things on here. So those, I believe there's 95 or 96 of them. Those are the approved action items for the grant, meaning that provided the town picks projects or similar related projects to what's outlined in that packet, then there's no matching requirement by the town. 0% match. The only thing the town has to provide is obviously some staff time. If the town were to want to do a project that was outside of the scope of this, they could, but there would be a matching requirement, which it's based on the population. I believe for Limerick, it would be a 10% match required. I've worked with several towns in this program. I haven't any towns choose to go off the list and pay money out of pocket, but it is an option if you guys do want to go that route. Are there any specific questions about the grant itself? Process, how it works.
How are the funds, if we get involved in this, how are the funds dispersed from the grant?
Like, where is the money coming from?
If we have a project, is this a lump sum that comes to Limerick, or is this something we have to submit bills to?
Or would it be like we pay for the project and get reimbursed for it through the grant?
I believe it's a lump sum, but I don't want to speak out of turn, so I will get clarification on that. From my understanding, once you outline, so there's kind of like 2 steps in the project analysis. So when we're looking at enrolling in the partnership, we'll outline potential projects, and you don't need like a to the penny amount for each project. This is just like, hey, we're going to put $15,000 towards putting a new heat pump in. And then that gets approved. And then once it actually comes to getting the money, that's when you need to go get, bids for the projects. And then you come back with a specific invoice for whatever project you're doing. But from my experience, all the towns I've worked with have gotten the money very quickly. So I would assume they get it dispersed immediately and not reimbursed.
So you're saying we have 3 projects of $25,000, but each project was $50,000. 25 could go towards 3 projects?
Correct. So the $75,000 is the total cap. So if we came up with 75 different things that cost $1,000 each, you'd be good. But that was a good question, because there are some action items on here are falling more of like kind of emergency management planning that wouldn't necessarily take a lot of money. It'd just be staff time. So there are some, but then there's other items on there like you could use for stormwater management, replacing a culvert. Well, you probably couldn't even replace half a culvert for $75,000. So there is quite a bit of variance, and it's those action items. They continually update that list since they started doing this. So there is some wiggle room. It doesn't have to be black and white verbatim, like our project matches, verbatim the description in the action item list.
Now, in the event you had a project that was going to cost, let's say, $100,000, do we get to 75 and then we put the 25 up? Or this goes back to a certain percentage of that 75,000?
So, like, are you asking if you had a project that exceeded this, could you still use these funds even if it didn't cover? Correct. Yes, you could do that.
But the extra, say if it's $25,000 more, it'd just be 25. In other words, that 75 wouldn't be reduced because it exceeded that amount, the 75,000? See what I mean?
So, and I guess I kind of got lost
So
on.
if we got a $100,000 project.
Yep.
And you're saying we get a $75,000 grant, we could use up that 75,000 and then throw in 25 of our own.
Yeah, correct.
And there wouldn't be any problem as far as getting that 75 reduced because we went over the estimated amount?
No, so, and that's happened before. Like there's an option here where you can actually use this grant to cover the matching requirement of other projects. So you have a lot of flexibility with the money,
Okay.
is what I'm getting at. Yes, sir.
It seems like this is pretty much a guaranteed grant, as long as you match the criteria here. At least you sound as if it's a very optimistic.
I mean, as of right now, we've worked with Acton, Sanford, Newfield, North Berwick, Limerick, Leamington, Lyman, and Dayton, and we haven't had any issues with any towns. Now, 4 years from now, I don't know, but I do know that, so this round of funding, the grant funds have already been earmarked for this program. So there's already been quite a few steps taken with the town already. It's not like we haven't done anything. So the state is aware of how many towns are going to be applying for the grant funds. They already have X amount million earmarked. But to answer your question, this has been by far the easiest grant program. We work with a lot of grant programs in my job, and I haven't had any issues with this one so far. But
Is there a time frame when the funds have to be spent?
yes, so once we get into, once you enroll in the partnership and then we look at the actual applying for the grant, which is really what everybody wants to hear about. Once that happens, you can either choose to do a 1-year project or a 2-year project. And I don't understand why they give you an option for the 1 year, but essentially with this partnership, you're good for 2 years. So we decide, what you want to use the money for this round. 2 years from now, if this grant project is still continuing, the town would be eligible to apply for another round of grant funding up to $75,000 2 years from now. So that would really be your only limitation of time limit would be you'd have to do it in a project of 2 years or less. Obviously, 2 years from now, I don't think anybody of us can guarantee what programs are still going to be around. But from what we know right now is that this money's already been earmarked previous to what we're doing with the town.
Does anybody in the state audit this once it's done?
So this all falls under the Governor's Office of Policy of Innovation in the Future. I'm not sure what their audit process is. Thankfully, I've never been involved in an audit, but I would assume that's who it would come from, would be the Governor's Office of Policy and Innovation. Any questions in particular about the grant itself? And then we can go into...
And you may have already went over this, so my apologies if you did, but when it comes down to like approval, if we get approved. Are we getting approved for, is it like you get approved for 75,000 or zero, or you can get approved for up to? I assume we have to, pick an option on what we're doing.
Yep.
And then we'll get told, hey, you got approved for the full 75,000, or, excuse me, is there ever times that you only get approved for 20,000, if it's on this list still?
So, yeah, it's just, the 75,000 is really just the cap.
Okay,
So I haven't had any towns that didn't get whatever they asked for.
okay,
I'll say that. So, it might, obviously, you want to use as much of that money as possible. But if you come in at 68, that would be the amount you get. Because it's got to marry up to a project. You
Yeah.
can't use it just for general funds or.
okay.
Do you have to provide estimates for the job?
You will, yeah, so when I said, there's kind of like two phases towards the budgeting part. The first phase, when we're doing the partnership, is really just kind of a broad outline of, at this point, we've worked through potential projects that would be a good fit for the town, and then we'll kind of go in and, in general, just allocate money towards each. Well, we'll put, 15 of the 75 towards this and 10 towards this. And then once it comes to applying for the grant, that's when you'd want to get bids, obviously, so that way you're making sure that really, for the town's sake, is that they're getting that, as much of that 75,000 as they can, and not, overestimating where they could have maybe snuck in another project. Is that it as far as the grant?
So I had.
Sorry, we can, if you have other things that pop up, feel free to let me know, but I know you guys have another meeting tonight, so I wanted to, really the bulk of this is just to go over the action items and just try to flesh out some potential fits that would be good for the town, or if you guys have any just lingering projects. I know I've talked to Alicia, and she's mentioned could we do painting or re-siding the building? I did some digging. We wouldn't be able to use it for that. Unfortunately.
You come here at nighttime.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
But you could use it to insulate the building.
That's on our list.
That's what.
I was gonna say, yeah,
It's pretty black and white in this.
Perform building envelope weatherization improvements for publicly or tribal government-owned buildings. B3 is
Yep.
the number. So that would,
That would,
weatherize.
I think the ones
See,
that-
wordplay, siding would weatherize the building,
I know.
but,
Well, the ones that we have spoken of, and Jim and I have spoken of, are, so we kind of have 4 that we talked about. 5 was kind of questionable. One was the stand-up generator for this building, being a heating, cooling station. It's kind of hard to offer that for a town if we don't have power here. The drainage here being short-term fix of some sort, if paving takes, whatever our paving allotment of time is out back, so we don't have the drainage issue of the water into the building. The insulating of this building, setting up an extreme weather events program, some type of alert system where we can notify citizens maybe that we are open as a heating or cooling station, or an emergency alert system. We also had mentioned at one point, I don't think some people were kind of questionable of it, but it was putting in a boat ramp at one of our lakes that we have. That's readily used, but there's no boat ramp there now. So I don't know if that falls under anything that we have, but those are kind of the ones that we had come up with kind of to start with.
yes, sir.
So this is not just community improvements, this is something that's clean energy driven, correct?
Yes, so
Something that-
I would say that's probably the primary driver of this grant program. So if you go through, the more you go through that, you'll find out the different options. I mean, there's a lot of alternative sources of energy. So looking at solar power, geothermal, wind, and then just increasing energy efficiency, whether it's replacing lights, street lights to LEDs, or, doing an energy audit of anything really municipally owned. You can pretty much do anything as far as improving the energy efficiency under this grant program. And then it even goes into like increasing green space. If there's some few dollars left in the grant and you're like, hey, we've been talking about planting trees over here in this park. I mean, that's definitely within the scope of the grant.
That's more ash trees.
So we talked about, I know, kind of varying different things involved with this building in particular, sounds like,
Yeah.
as far as
Yes.
insulation.
Joanne, did you have a question?
Yeah, under F6, we have a disaster management plan. The last two disasters that we've had, the area that we use at the transfer station hasn't big enough capacity. And this says that it may be used to increase capacity for disaster planning. We talked about, I think last week or the week before, needing to clear an area at the transfer station.
Is this like for kind of an extreme weather, like
Yeah.
heating, cooling center would be there?
No,
Or is this just
no.
like a marshalling area?
No, it's specifically for disaster relief.
When there's like,
I meant when you're talking about the transfer station, like
Yeah.
how do you guys use it?
it's the town trash and recycling facility.
You're talking about getting rid of debris?
Hmm?
You're talking about getting rid of debris?
Yeah,
Making the storage space bigger for that
Yeah.
debris from a natural disaster.
Oh, okay, so you're specifically just like the storm debris.
Wood and brush.
debris, winter debris,
Okay.
snow down
Yeah.
that we desperately need.
I think that's a little bit off the beaten path.
I have a question. I don't know if you've gone this far in your project, but are towns putting forth a plan first, or do they already have one? I see section F says, develop plans a number of times, have policies in place. Are you finding towns already have that?
The towns I've dealt with, they either had a pretty well laid out like emergency management plan, like
Yeah.
extreme weather.
Yeah.
They either had one like freshly done, or they kind of going through this process. They're like, you know what, this would be a good opportunity to just revamp our emergency plan for extreme weather events. So I've had it both ways for the towns around here. I think in here, it's just, the language is just written so that way, it's just saying you could use it to enhance a plan that's already in place, or you could use it to create one.
But it can't be used for updating the comprehensive plan, I see, which is something that we need to do under F2.
Adopt a climate resilience plan that describes your.
No, it says you can do that.
Routine comprehensive plan updates are not eligible for grant funding.
It says grant funds may be used to incorporate resilience planning into a comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
And then the next sentence,
Updates are not eligible.
Yeah.
So does our comprehensive plan have resilience planning in it today?
I don't believe so.
and I know our comprehensive plan is out of date at this point, so.
We are,
The comprehensive plans cost money. I thought that was all volunteers
No,
that help write that.
no, it's Southern Maine Planning.
Southern Maine Planning, we have to do it for them.
I can think of enough projects right now that will absorb that 75,000 without a question in my mind.
Oh, that's
Just-
good.
Just pretty much on energy efficiency and drainage.
Yep. I know there was some, like, I just know, I do a lot of erosion control, stormwater management in the back of this parking lot. When I first saw it,
That's one of the projects.
I was thinking, I was like, man, you get that snow melt or just stormwater, and
Oh, yeah.
you're kind of sitting at the bottom of a bowl here.
The basement's nice and it's a swimming pool, public pool.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like comprehensive plan, stormwater. All right, what else? Did you have a question, sir? Were you? I didn't know if you had your hand. So you kind of jumped in late.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just a citizen. My name's Tom. I saw it on the website, and again, another posting that said public is urged to
Yeah.
attend, and I just got out of work, so I figured I'd pop in just to
For
see
sure.
what the discussion was about. I
Yeah,
didn't
I'll
really
give
know
you
what to
just, like,
expect
the-
or anything, but
So that sheet of 10 papers that you have.
the different proposals, strategies.
Yeah, so essentially the town is going to apply for a grant that up to $75,000.
Yep.
I'm here just acting as a service provider. I'm here to help the town through the application process. And really, it's a matter of looking at potential projects on that list. As long as the town picks from that list, there's no match required by the town.
Okay.
But if we installed docks, it would.
Yeah, I mean, I could get pretty creative, but that might be a tricky.
Okay.
And it sounds like because it's only 75,000, you're kind of just picking one because that's most likely going to use up all that
Most summer.
pretty quickly.
Yeah. I mean, from my experience, like, I think it's good if you have like those 10 different projects and just using this as an opportunity to say, these are the 10 things on top of our head. Let's prioritize them and then kind of earmark ones for this grant and then maybe earmark some provided this program still exists 2 years from now. And then we already have potential projects lined up. The other thing is that I know you guys, somebody had mentioned SMPDC. So SMPDC is the regional coordinator for this grant program. So the town also has access to them to support any SMPDC. If you're not familiar, their kind of bread and butter is more like city planning type level of projects, grant writing. Whereas like, in my capacity, I'm more of at the ground level, individual landowner, small township. So they're able to kind of support any of those bigger projects or anything that may come up that might fall outside of the scope of this grant funding. They're still a resource for future grant writing projects.
What's the overall figure for that program? How many million?
Like the amount of money, oh God.
I don't know if the state had said we're gonna put 10 million into this, or 50 million, or,
Well, it's actually, so this has been around for about 4 years, and it's probably, the amount has gone down a little bit, but only because a lot of the towns have already enrolled or applied. I want to say it was something like, this past round was like 11 million, I think.
okay.
But at this stage, especially in York County, the majority of towns are either enrolled and they've applied for grants and started working on their projects, or they finished projects, or they're working on applying like Limerick is.
Now, is there any number of times that you can apply for that grant? Is this a yearly thing?
2 years.
2 years.
Yep.
I mean, after 2 years, if we go, say we do 2 projects, could we go on and do a third one?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
If it's still available.
If the program's.
And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously that's implied, but I think it's still important to
Yeah.
mention that. It's like, hey, that guy told me, we'd have that money in 2 years. Like, I don't work, I have York County in the name of my job description, but I don't work for the county. We're a nonprofit, and in this capacity, we're just here to help you guys through the grant process. So I don't have any vested interests in the outcome of this, just here to help you guys. All right, so we talked about stormwater management, obviously in this area. Was there any other spots in the town that would be kind of higher on your priority list as far as stormwater issues or flooding?
Not as far as, I can't think of.
Not of town properties, yeah.
Okay,
The only other one I can think of right now is getting the energy efficiency of this building up more. We've already done scans
yeah.
and.
Oh, you have done that?
And cost estimates. Only one though, and then,
We did one office in the library. We upgraded the lights.
Okay.
okay, but I'm talking about insulation.
Oh, yeah, insulation is needed, yeah.
Scan the whole building.
Mm.
Did you do an energy audit before you did that kind of thing?
Could you do an energy audit?
And pay for it with this?
Yeah, I think
Building like this?
one of it.
That is one of the options.
One of the
I've
items, I
seen
think
that,
it
yeah.
says verbatim, energy audit. So, yeah, that would definitely be, I'd have to look at, I have no idea what that would cost, so I can't really speak to that, but,
It's B1, complete an energy audit of publicly or tribal government-owned buildings to get a baseline for building energy usage.
Yep.
What? Yeah.
But you don't require it. You don't require it. You're saying you have $75,000 and you put forth your plan. But it doesn't have to do that, right? That's our choice.
That's your choice. It's basically like, you got 100 options on here,
Yep.
and somebody gives you a handful of money and said, all right, you only got so much to spend.
Right.
So that's not required.
Not you, no, okay. Thank you.
According to this, if we did have a generator for this building, it would have to be, it couldn't be run by fossil fuels. It would have to be solar.
Correct.
Solar or battery backup. So that,
All right.
And then I know I had talked to, outside of putting in Alicia's waterfront paradise, there's a couple watersheds that are in town, right? Secocas, is that part of Limerick?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a watershed north of Limerick coming down from Cornish, feeds the water
Yep.
system here.
So there's options here doing like, I don't know how recent, if you have like a watershed management plan for any of those bodies of water.
I think the water district does.
Okay.
So there's a Limerick Water Sewer District that's not owned by the town. They're their own private
They're
entity.
quasi-municipal,
Okay.
meaning we support their efforts.
Okay. Okay. Let's see, let's just kind of skim this to see if there's anything that might, has there been any interest as far as doing like EV chargers, anything like that?
I've lived here 4 years. I've seen one Tesla, I think. I
Yeah.
I don't think the need for it is, and I don't know where we would even think, other than here, I don't know where we would put it. That would be used either
I
here.
think when it's all said and done, our interest is gonna be in infrastructure.
Yeah, okay. All right, so if we go there, and you can kind of see how these are categorized, so that's why this
Yeah.
first section is kind of all EV stuff, so we could just skip through that. If we go into the next section, that's where you get into your infrastructure. We talked about doing an energy audit as being a possibility. Some of these are kind of overlap each other too, as far as doing energy conversion plan.
I have a question about the statement. Half the population And the MUBEC is the state of Maine building code, isn't it? So how can you encourage us? What, I would think we'd have to. We have a code enforcement officer that thinks so anyway.
Yeah.
You know, so I was just surprised it said that.
Adopt an ordinance.
On page 2.
Required to enforce.
I think we'd all be required to.
I would think so. That has not been something that I've
Yeah.
dealt with. Going back to code enforcement officers, though, there is some action items here as far as using money to support like further training for code enforcement officers. Yeah, support regular professional development training for code enforcement officers.
We do that. We do that now. Honestly. We do a good job.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's not to say that you don't, it's just as far as,
Right. We wanted to, we use budgeted monies to do
Right.
that.
yes, ma'am. And then if we go into strategy C, a lot of this covers like energy conversion, so converting to alternative sources of energy. I don't know if that's something. Okay.
Converting to alternate sources, you mean like solar power? Okay.
Yeah. Correct. All right, now this goes into more of the less infrastructure, more environmental section. So there's targets for increasing green space, so that would be your tree planting. If there's areas where you want to do some tree planting. I've talked to a lot of people lately that are concerned about obviously all the ash trees. That's probably a little bit bigger of an issue to tackle, but.
At 75, we'll take down 3 trees. We're good.
Watershed plans, which you guys said that the water and sewer district should have in place.
Excuse me, would that count for taking down trees?
For
Or is it
taking
just
down-
planting new ones?
Well, it depends on what trees you're taking down. Are they
Dangerous ones, obviously, but
yeah, like at risk for infrastructure?
At risk for infrastructure, I mean, there's still some here.
yeah.
Some at like Tibbetts Memorial Park, the cemeteries, which are, I mean, green spaces.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would, like Howard said, I don't know if that would count. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not providing more green spaces, it's making safer the ones we already have in place.
Yeah, I think
that.
that one is more for
Planting.
increasing green space and tree planting to increase shade, carbon sequestration.
We're eliminating shade.
Yeah. Now, if they're like invasive, you might be able to figure out a way around that.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as that goes, from my understanding, when I talked to the woman who runs this at the state recently, and I had Leamington was asking about, we have some trees that are outside of DOT and CMP's like right away, but they could still cause an issue. And the answer I got as far as this grant program is you could use these grant funds for, like, if you were to hire an arborist and just say, give us like, survey the property and give us like at risk,
Okay.
all that stuff. But as far as the tree work itself, it wouldn't be, you wouldn't be able to use this unless it was like, it was, the way she made it sound like it had to be basically within like CMP's jurisdiction for it to give a high enough like severity, but if it's within the jurisdiction, then why would the town be spending money on it?
Yeah. Okay.
See, if we can't cut them, we're not interested.
I have a question about D. It says assess the suitability of privately owned brownfield and disturbed contaminated sites for clean energy projects.
Mm-hmm.
It's privately owned, would it have to be, if we have publicly owned land that has a brownfield or it's been contaminated, is this for a study? Is that what this pays for, a study?
For that one specifically, D1.
D1.
So suitability.
We have contaminated, publicly owned property.
Okay.
So does that pay for an assessment? To have a professional come in and tell us something? To get a bigger grant, like a super fund grant? Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, like reading how that's written, I would say that, yeah, that would make sense to correlate that with,
Okay.
like for example, like there's some grants, like if you're doing some shoreline work by Secocas Lake, for example, like you would already have to have an updated watershed plan to apply for the grant funds. That's where you could use something like this to cover the cost of a watershed plan, which is gonna help you apply for that bigger grant. So it'd be kind of along the same lines.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Well, she hasn't, I have. Not getting a dime of it.
So is this just the initial open forum to discuss all the proposals?
Yes.
And then there's
Yep.
a follow-up or communication sent out to the town?
We've got to look at and set priorities where we can best use that money.
Have you seen towns use a survey of something with a list of priorities that are developed in a smaller group and then put out to the town before voting, so you can get a feel for what the public sees as important? Or is it just left for a committee or a board?
I haven't seen that. That's not to say you can't. As far as this, like to give you an idea of where we are on the time frame of this grant. So we're anticipating May for when we would actually apply for the grant itself. And then working backwards, since we're doing the workshop beginning of February, I would say probably no later than the second week of March, like we would have to know what the town wants to do with the money.
One more question. When did the state start this grant program?
It was about 4 years ago.
4 years ago. And why did the state send out to towns that it was available?
I don't know what their outreach process was. I know ours, because we're able to act as a service provider, and once we started working with it, we work with towns throughout whatever, and
Thank you for coming.
we've been trying to tell towns, we're like, I know that it sounds like it's too good to be true, but like, I would highly recommend
I think they kept it to themselves.
getting in this. Obviously, a lot of the, Kittery, York, they were probably in the first
They
round.
have people on
Um,
staff to do that.
And then in here, in the F, we're kind of looking at more of that like emergency planning. So, and some of these are more low cost, but just making sure you have emergency heating and cooling center that has, the capacity to house based on your population? Do we have backup power to that? Is there, what's the notification procedure like for contacting vulnerable elderly residents in those extreme weather events? All right, this one goes into infrastructure again, but this is specifically towards culverts and sewers. Like I said, in my experience, culverts are pretty expensive. That's not to say it wouldn't be a good project, but. And we talked about the stormwater issues behind the field that's behind, is that a leach field, or is that just a,
The field behind here?
yeah?
No, just the
That's
field.
grass. Okay. Oh, that makes, yeah, 'cause it's higher.
Used to be all playground when the school was here.
Oh, okay. Um, What about some, I know we briefly touched on it as far as looking at just, smaller improvements in this building, whether it be like lights. You said you had replaced lighting in one office.
Yeah, yeah, we've done it, I think, upstairs and in one office down here, but one of, an accounts we recently set up with use of the ARPA fund that we got was energy efficiency upgrades throughout the town, but
Yep.
as we've said, that can be spent in 30 seconds if we wanted.
So you still have a lot of other
We have a lot
projects
of
that-
ideas, projects.
Okay.
There was a committee put together that provided ideas and recommendations on what
good.
what could possibly, not just on energy efficiency upgrades, but what could possibly, what are priorities. There was a committee that did that.
Oh, great. So you could probably use some of that
Yep.
to help identify this grant. I think just about all the towns I've worked with, maybe except for one, have incorporated at least one heat pump into this. I don't know what the status of your heat pumps are, but
We just put in some.
Those
Graham,
are
no.
part of our,
Oh.
budget.
It's in.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
I forgot to tell you.
Thank you,
The
Alicia.
instruction book's right here.
I thought that was for, wow. Let's turn that on, it's hot in here. I'm kidding.
Take that shirt off.
You don't want me to.
And then looking towards the end of G, which we're looking at more kind of societal projects. So in here you have implement strategies to reach vulnerable individuals, to increase awareness about climate impacts, opportunities, education programs for schools. Again, some of that stuff is pretty low money-wise. It's just time and capacity. So I know we still have a few minutes. What are any questions for me?
I guess what are the, priority next steps?
Yep, so, like I said, the next step after this would be, like, big check mark would be doing the municipal resolution. At that point, it'll just be, town letterhead, one-page document, and outlining the projects that you've identified. So,
Does this have to be a town vote in any way for having this done?
it doesn't have to be, no. If you guys have certain processes, like how you handle this type of stuff, that's totally up to you, but,
I think the best thing we can do is keep it on our agenda for you
Yep.
said like the middle of March or second week in March?
Yeah, I would say second week of March at the latest.
Okay. I mean, I
Um,
think if we keep it on and people can come and we can prioritize and get the, people's opinions that way. People work together.
The other option too that I've done with some other towns is sometimes we come to this stage and there's 100 ideas and it's easy sometimes. People have harder times coming up with. So if there's, kind of homework that I need to do on my end, you guys have me throughout this application process. So if you want me to come back and go over more of a refined list or, I'm available. So, use me as much as you can. But yeah, I would say second week of March, we would want to have the projects identified and then draft the municipal resolution. Just because with the tentative, all we've heard about the potential application timeframe is May. So whether that's May 1st or May 30th, I just want to make sure there's enough time for revisions in the application so that we don't miss out on the timeline.
So if we had a May 1st drop dead date, have this done, would be pretty set.
Yeah, really the biggest thing moving forward is the municipal resolution, deciding what projects you want to choose.
Yeah.
As long as that happens the second week of March, then we'll be covered as far as the rest of the time frame. But and then just to recap some of the kind of ideas that we talked about. So I know we mentioned, we'll just say kind of this building in general, as far as either doing an energy audit or replacing any remaining lights or appliances. We also talked about the stormwater issues behind this building. We also looked at, where is it? You said you just did most of the heat pumps. The one thing I did want to, the storm debris, would you be looking to try to increase the capacity of the transfer station or just a better,
Storage area.
just,
Storage area.
okay. All right, any other questions? All right, well, if there's no other questions, I will say again, just to reiterate, that second week of March, if you guys would like to meet, we'll definitely need to talk between now and then, but if you'd like me to come back or meet again in between now and then, that's fine, but definitely at some point, probably in the next few weeks, just sitting down and kind of refining that list, and then I can do the paperwork on my end.
Perfect.
If there's no other questions for me, that's all I got.
Sure, but if we had just one project, that would be fine?
Yeah.
We don't have to have a bunch priorities?
No, not at all. If there's one project that fills the need, you can absolutely do that.
Great.
All right. Well, the time is, if there's no other questions, seeing none, if the time is 6:55 and we will be closing the public hearing. We will take a 5-minute break and resume at 7 p.m. for our select board meeting. Thank you. Good evening. The time is 7:04. Sorry about the delay. We are back with our February 2nd, 2026 Board of Select Persons meeting. Please join me in the flag salute. All right, we do have the Budget Committee here. We do need to go over the special town meeting warrant articles. That is what is next on my agenda. So I'll read these articles for the special town meeting warrant that is on February 19th, 2026. To Stanley Hackett, Constable of the Town of Limerick in the County of York, State of Maine. Greetings. In the name of the State of Maine, you're hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the Town of Limerick in said county and state, qualified by law to vote in affairs to meet at the Limerick Fire Station, 23 School Street, Limerick, Maine, in said town on February 19th of 19th of February, 2026 AD. At 6 o'clock in the afternoon, then and there to act upon the following articles. Article 1, to choose a moderator by written ballot to preside at said meeting. Article 2, shall the town vote to transfer $138,000 from the undesignated fund balance G1520-00 to capital reserve account G3524-00. Note, transferring $138,000 will provide funding for the following articles passed on March 14th, 2025 warrant. $30,000 for project SCBA for the fire department, $40,000 project paving and utility improvements at the municipal building. Article 23, transfer $30,000 project second egress for the Brick Town Hall. Article 25, transfer $38,000 project playland and picnic pavilion at the ball field. Warrant article authorizing the transfer of $138,000 from undesignated fund balance was inadvertently not presented to the voters on March 14th, 2025. This is a 2025 correcting accounting entry. So is there a motion to accept that and make a yes vote by the Select Board?
So moved. Seconded.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor on the Select Board? And I'll open it to the Budget Committee.
You want us to come up there?
Yes, please. Or you can all huddle around the podium, but there's microphones here if you do want to sit, though. It's up to you.
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Either way. You don't want us to reread the article, do you?
I don't think so.
Okay. Is there a motion from the Budget Committee to accept the article as written?
I'll make a motion to accept it as written. Second for purposes of discussion.
Discussion. I'm going to start by saying the articles that were presented to the town and they were voted on specifically stated that it was going to be transferred from a special project reserve fund to another special project reserve fund, not the undesignated balance or account. So to turn around now and say, oops, we didn't ask for it, we did. It was presented to the Budget Committee that we had the money, it was already in a capital project reserve fund, and we just want to move it to another one. The voters approved that. It was never presented to the Budget Committee to actually come out of the undesignated fund balance.
So are we doing this twice? It's just on the outside. We approved this a year ago.
From my understanding, the money was not in the capital project reserve account to fund these projects. The way that it was worded was misworded in this article
Never made it from undesignated
to the capital
to the
project.
reserves.
The question is,
I think, I mean, I'll admit, I missed the wording on it. I think the people who presented it to us missed the wording on it. The voters missed the wording on it. The treasurer missed a lot. The budget committee missed the wording on it. I mean, we all missed the wording on it. I think if it comes down to it, it falls on the select board for missing the wording.
Well, sorry.
No, that's okay. And I don't know if that's where it did happen. Obviously, a lot of people saw it and the wording had been missed. So therefore, I mean, that's all I have. That's what I have. That's the information I was given.
Right, and I specifically recall we were discussing where it was coming from. And it was pressed upon us that this money was in the capital reserve fund and this is where it was going to transfer from. It was never presented to the budget committee that it was going to come from an undesignated
So
or be transferred
It
from.
almost seems like there was money put somewhere, now that money's not there. And now we're gonna go out and do
Now we
some
have to
more.
play catch-up.
And the other thing is, why couldn't this be on the March? I mean, you know, it just says it was inadvertently not on the March 14, 2025. This is correcting. Why don't we just have it on the March for everybody? I think we need some clarity to what all this stuff is.
I mean, I'll be the first to, I don't like special town meetings. I've said that before. It came up at a budget meeting why it couldn't be on the March. I mean, deadline being one of them, we're past the deadline to add stuff to the March ballot at this point. And if we wait until the June ballot, then that means we can't close the books when we have an auditor until minimal June. So it was deemed necessary to have the special town meeting by the select board. I mean, it was talked about in depth at one of the last budget meetings.
Right, but we can go through all these articles that are coming up. The project for paving and utilities, was that voted down for raising money for that project out here? One of the last meetings?
No, so these were approved.
were approved.
They were approved on the warrant. They're just the typo in where the money was coming from is the reason why it has to be represented.
But the voters voted for this money, though. It just got.
The voters approved this money, yes.
So the question is, where is the money?
It was never in that account to fund the sub-account.
It's in some account somewhere, because, Laura, did you get a negative on one of those accounts?
Yeah, the capital reserve fund as of today is negative $110,450.
That's where this money's
That's-
going to cover this, because these projects were all paid for. So that's why there needs to be the transfer.
But the projects haven't been completed yet.
So,
Only, well, the project, the paving goes just into that, the the project reserve account for that. Like, that's money that we keep trying to build up, so we have that money for that project.
So if
The
we,
playground and picnic pavilion,
so
is-
if we take and we do that transfer and we put it over, and it leaves us with $40,000 because it now takes us out of the negative, how are we going to fund the $138,000 if there's only $40,000 in that account now? If we're starting at a negative, if we're 110,000 in the negative, we're going to deposit 138,000 for 138,000 worth of projects.
Well,
That's going to leave us with 28,000 in the account after we
So we're
transfer that.
110 in the negative because these projects have already been started and started to be paid.
which ones have been started?
I mean, I don't know off the top. I know that the SCBA devices for the fire department, the bottles have been bought for that. The paving might not have been started.
Was some of that for doing the
that's towards what
design?
you've
The
been, yeah,
design
that's
project.
what that is, towards that paving account.
They've been paid.
So we're a negative 110, and when we add the 138, we're only negative because these accounts have already been spent out of, and it wasn't caught until sometime in the last couple of months.
Okay.
Gail, do you have a comment on it?
Yes. One of those have never been transferred into a project. One of the four have never, an account has never been established, but we're under contract for that project, and we've spent money, and you have bills to pay. But the account in the treasurer's office has not been created. That's why it's 138.
So we've been spending money out of what to pay for that?
Out of the general fund,
Right.
okay? I'm sorry? I don't want to really, I don't want to. You have the floor.
So bottom line, after we do this, do we know how much has been spent so far on these projects?
If I had a ledger in front of me and the ledger was, if they're charted correctly on the accounts, I think we will. We'll know how much has been spent.
And the reason I ask is I took some time today to sit down or to come in and talk to Julie, and I called earlier. She doesn't have anything showing that the SCBA equipment has been purchased this year at all.
I thought we were saving for like 4 years. Or is that something different?
The
Right.
idea behind it, and I'm not the fire chief, so I'm not sure, but the idea behind it was instead of asking for $120,000 at once, it was to build it up.
Right, we're
And
gonna build
so
it up
the
and
bottles have been, the bottles expired, so the bottles were replaced. The next thing to be replaced are the packs.
Okay.
The bottles have been bought. I know the bottles have been bought. And that's almost been a year now, I think over a year since the bottles have been bought.
Do we know?
So 24?
Because we put 30 in 1 year. and
I
we
think it's supposed to be
missed
90 total, yep.
Huh?
So we've done, it should be 60. That should be 60, the goal was to get to 90. So we've done 32 years, or twice, March and then November.
Right. 'Cause
That's
when
what
it was
this other question is for.
When it was pitched to us the first time, they had 27,000 in there. We need another 30. Now we need another 30 to get up to the 90.
Yeah.
I just worry that we're spending money that we don't have. Any further discussion?
No, I think it's too.
The auditor said we have $2.7 million. And they said that in September of 2025.
Well, that's great, we can have 2 million, but this is all very confusing on how it is, where it is.
And this is the wording that the treasurer presented to us. There was other wording as well, but the treasurer wanted this wording, and if,
No, the wording that Julie and I worked on the wording on Article 4.
okay. My apologies.
It's okay.
I think we ought to have some more clarity, though. Personally. I know all about the SCBA devices, so.
Lori Gale has a comment.
There'll be $3,000 short on the SCBA because there's a $4,000 negative amount in 2024. But we can't fix that because we don't know if we have what we have for correcting entries. Someone would write an article for that if that got fixed. Okay, so they'll have 87,000, I think, by the time you get done around there for SCBA, because there's going to be another article on this warrant for November 4th. Is that true, Alicia?
For what?
Is there another article for something that was voted on November 4th for the fire
Yes,
department?
there's Article 4.
So when
Article
if
4.
that one passed too, and if these are simply moving money from undesignated into a negative balance project, a capital reserve account, that's all it's doing. All the projects have been approved. The auditors have told us twice, after thorough review, that there's 2.7 million in undesignated. And that was at the end of 2024. There'll be a new number, should we ever get 24 and 25 settled. But there is money in each of those accounts. The other thing is, the treasurer has been diligently giving reports to this budget committee, to the select board, and they're published on the website in a very clear process, okay? So anybody who wants to read the general ledger, there's a summary, there's detail, you can see it all. And she has recorded what she has spent on these projects in the specific project that the people voted for. Does that answer your question?
Not really, we just keep
If the
moving.
money was in the original capital account, why isn't it there?
It's never been in there. There was, at the end of 2024, the reserve was minus $4,000. We're talking 12/31/2024, minus $4,000. It's been that way until March, when the voters approved 4 more projects. Then it went to 110 because one of them wasn't moved out of there in a negative way into another account by the treasurer.
So before, we made a decision when it was at -4.
Yes.
And didn't catch it.
That's correct.
And now tonight, we're going to make a decision at -110 without any data,
Well,
just a promise
the,
that there's money.
well, you have an audit report from our HR auditors, Smith, RH Smith, that says it was 2.7 million. Do you believe it? That's our auditing firm.
Well, if it's that much, why don't we give a bunch of that back to the taxpayers for taxes?
You've spent the money.
There's the point. We're spending money.
We didn't.
We don't know where it is, and you expect the general public to pull up all the sheets.
I'm not expecting you to do anything. I got a
I'm not
project.
saying me. I'm saying the general public tonight listening to this, go pull up all these kind of sheets and have at it for 6 months, see if you can figure
Look,
it out. The point
This
is,
is
we
simple
ought to
accounting.
clean it up.
This is simple accounting.
Oh, it's simple, all right. We're always
Okay.
in the negative.
It's simple accounting, okay? You ran the check. It's not against the law to make that account negative. It is not against the law. It's up to the decision makers, like the budget committee members and the board, to catch these things along with the treasurer. Okay? So please don't, I'm just nobody, okay?
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor of the article? All those opposed? So no recommendation from the Budget Committee.
Article 3, to see if the town will vote to ratify the use of $326,000 to reduce the 2025 tax commitment and appropriate said amount from undesignated fund balance G1520 to cover the expenditure. Note, the Select Board voted at the August 18th, 2025 meeting to use $326,000 to reduce the 2025 tax commitment, as a funding estimate to reduce tax commitment was not presented at the March 14th, 2025 warrant for voter consideration. This is a 2025 correcting accounting entry. Is there a motion from the board?
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? The only thing I'll say is that we didn't have the audit at the time of needing for the March 14th warrant to be able to have a number to reduce the 2025 tax commitment. With that being said, is there any further discussion? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? All right. Budget Committee?
Do I have a motion to accept the article as written?
Motion to accept.
Any discussion?
So if now we know we get 2.7, can we change that 326,000?
I mean, we could, that was the number when we, at the August 18th meeting, that was the number that
Before we,
that was the number that the auditor recommended that we use.
right, before we had a finalized 2.7 or whatever,
That was the number at that meeting with the 2.7.
with 2.7.
Yeah. That was the number he recommended using to the board to keep the mill rate the same.
Any further?
What?
O'Donnell's.
O'Donnell's.
That was one of
Any further discussion? Those in favor? Budget Committee recommends a yes.
Article 4, shall the town vote to transfer $30,000 from the undesignated fund balance G1520-00 to capital reserve account for SCBA G3642-00. Note, transferring $30,000 will provide funding for the following articles passed on November 4th, 2025. Article 8, transfer $30,000 to G642-00, Project SCBA Devices for the Fire Department. A warrant article authorizing the transfer of $30,000 from undesignated fund balance was inadvertently not presented to the voters on November 4th, 2025. This is a 2025 correcting accounting entry. Is there a motion from the Select Board?
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any discussion? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? All right. Budget.
Is there a motion to accept the article?
Should now accept.
Discussion? So this is just a thought, perhaps. And maybe this will help with the transparency. Instead of saying, you know, it was inadvertently not presented to the voters, can we change the wording to say that the account was misstated, where it was coming from? Because that's where I'm having the big problem, is because these articles were presented to the voters, but they were presented to the voters to come out of a different account and approved. So by saying they weren't, it just doesn't hold well with me.
This is the wording that we worked on with, or that Julie wanted some changes in. Were you there when did she talk to you about it all? Did she mention that at all about the?
I don't know if she,
It was more that
it's that part.
we had unassigned, or there was unassigned on there, and she wanted it changed to undesignated. I know she had an issue with that.
Okay.
But I'm having the issue with the inadvertently not presented to the voters.
If the
Because-
average person looks at some of this, they'll think that there's 120 for SCBA's, because a year ago, we already said, all right, here's 30, here's 60.
What would the wording, I mean, change that you want us, like, was a warrant article authorizing the transfer of $30,000 from undesignated fund balance?
Was inadvertently named the transfer account incorrectly to the voters on November 4th?
I think a lot of the problem is, and I know this was brought up during the year, last year, was these funds are named so close
Yep.
to one another, that's ridiculous. Like the undesignated, unassigned fund, and then there's an undesignated fund.
GAP changed it. GAP changed it from undesignated to unassigned. GAP did that.
Who else get it?
General
What's
accounting,
GAP?
general accounting principles.
Oh, okay.
That the treasurer has to use.
The only reason I brought that up is it's situations like this that they went through and they eliminated 700 during this audit. 700 accounts that were messed up.
I look
Things-
forward to the day the treasurer can go through and minimalize the accounts so that this isn't an issue in the future.
Because I think two years ago, the people voted this down because of the wording of where it was coming from.
When I started, there was, I want to say, 40 pages on just the accounts. Now there's, I believe it's 18.
But we
I mean,
want,
they took an unbelievable amount out, and that's what's taking so long to get this audit done, because Julie's had to go back, dealing, it was nothing for them to send 10 pages of these accounts and say, these have all got to be eliminated, or you got to take money from this account and put it to this other account and eliminate the first one. It was a mess.
well, it's hard for the people
And,
to understand.
and
we
at this
want to spend.
point, where, even though they said that it was supposedly done, last week, she got another page, stuff that had to be completed. But it's getting closer and closer, and frankly, I'm sick and tired of listening to the auditor, because they keep on saying, yeah, we're gonna have it done, we're gonna have it done, and then they turn around and they don't follow through. And they've
And
jumped
my-
that account around to 3 different people in that company, and I just don't, I think it's a bunch of crap.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it saying that it was coming from in the articles that were written that the town voted on, it was written, it was being transferred from a capital project reserve account. Not an unassigned, not an undesignated, this money was already set aside account. So,
So, I mean, would wording of a warrant article authorizing a transfer of 30,000 from the undesignated account, the undesignated fund balance was worded incorrectly when being presented to the voters on November 4th, 2025. This is a 2025 correcting accounting entry.
yeah. I mean, that's better than
I
you
agree.
didn't vote
Yep.
on it.
Yeah, the money's there, we're not raising
Correct.
the money. But the confusion is, we raised 60,000 before, now on this here, it looks like we're raising another 60, that's 120, no matter what you look at it. And we had a long talk when Vinnie was here about another 30 wouldn't show up because of giving you 60 this year on the March one. I mean, here we are, 6 weeks away from March, that's what's upsetting, having a special town meeting, so. All right.
Is there a motion from the select board to change that wording?
So moved. Seconded.
Any discussion? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? All right. So the warrant will now read, a warrant article authorizing the transfer of 30,000 from undesignated fund balance was worded incorrectly when being presented to the voters on November 4th, 2025. This is a 2025 correcting accounting entry.
Motion to accept the article as amended. Any discussion? All in favor? Budget Committee recommends.
All right, and those are the 4 articles at the special town meeting. Thank you guys for coming out. Alicia's gonna change the wording on them, and she'll have you sign them. All right, we will move on with our normal select board meeting. Is there a motion to accept the warrants?
So moved. Seconded.
Any discussion? I will just say that there is not a payroll warrant this week, as there's issues at the payroll company. While on this topic of payroll company, the few people have reached out to me about their W-2s, and the payroll company is aware of it, and they are working on the issue. They ran into an issue today in sending them out, and hopefully they'll be able to get them out as soon as possible. With that being said, all those in favor of approving the warrants? All right. I look for a motion to approve the January 28th meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? All right. And would somebody read the announcements, please?
The planning board will meet on Wednesday, February 4th at 7 p.m. The board will host candidates night this Thursday, February 5th at 7 p.m. at the municipal building. Please send your questions in ahead of time to Alicia at the Select Board office in person or by email at selectboardadmin@limerickme.org. All questions are due by February 5th at 3 p.m. and will be anonymous. No slandering questions will be allowed. Questions, please reach out to Alicia, 793-4475. The board will hold two public hearings for the March ballot. The first will be Thursday, February 12th, and the second will be Thursday, February 19th at the fire station. Both hearings will start at 6 p.m. Absentee ballots will be available on Wednesday, February 11th with the town clerk. The board will hold a special town meeting on Thursday, February 19th before the public hearing, starting at 6 p.m. at the fire station. Articles will be available to review on the website. The Select Board is looking for members to join a comprehensive committee. If interested, please contact Alicia, 793-4475, or selectboardadmin@limerickme.org. And as part of the hearing of citizens policy, no personal attacks on any individual firm, including town employees, town officials, and members of the public will be tolerated during any meeting. Please direct concerns about individual employees or town officials to the chairman of the Board of Select Persons outside the public meeting. For your convenience, complaint forms are readily available on the sign-in table.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to department reports. I have Stan Hackett, CEO.
Good evening, Stan Hackett, Code Enforcement Officer for the town of Limerick. First on the agenda, I did want to give everybody a recap. Last Friday, I spoke with DEP and then ended up on the phone with the CDC. This is regarding the TCE contamination located at a residence that we found off in Central Avenue. We did put out a request to bid to 4 companies. 2 of them responded. We did have a clause in there that we can end the bid process sooner. After speaking to the CDC and some of the concern levels that TCE has, which is similar to some of the issues that lead has with developmental issues mentally and some other physical things, and they do not know to the extent the use of the water, for example, if it's used in the wash machine or hot water, if it can become potentially more dangerous. So I would like to present the 2 bids, which are relatively close, to the board. I'd like to ask the board to make a decision tonight so that I can contact both companies, both letting them know either they successfully got the bid or not. And then I'm going to ask them to proceed digitally and quickly, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, to get this installed. After that, the process is the town will apply for reimbursement of 90% of the cost. That I do have the paperwork here, and I have shared it with the board, and I'm more than willing to share any of the information that I have with anybody that inquires. But the bids that came back was from Air Water Quality, Inc. out of Yarmouth. They came back at a total install of $3,190. The first bidder came back, which was Water Treatment Equipment. They're out of Falmouth. They came back at $2,769.99. They also put a clause in there that says the rate sheet for scheduled of services is $200 an hour plus travel. The 5 millicron filter is $30.90, and salt is $10.50 for a 40-pound bag, and it's a 10-bag minimum. So if you add it all up, you're basically right in the $3,000 range. So they're both equally the same. The DEP, I've sent these bids to them to see if they had any other information as far as they've dealt with these 4 companies that we did send this out to. Both of these companies have the same outstanding reputation. So again, it is up to the board. It isn't always the dollar amount, but relatively, you're within $100, $200 of cost between the two.
And for the initial funding of this project, where would, I mean, that's up to us, but where would the funding for that be, the 3,000?
Again, the town would have to pay for it. In this circumstance, I would ask the board to take it out of contingency, and then when we get the 10% back, or the 90% back, reimburse the contingency. I don't know, and you'll have to work with the GA, because since I've done general assistance, if the other 10% may, and it might be eligible to come out of that, so the town effectively would not really lose anything. I know GA used to be, the state reimbursed 75% of whatever. So I'm not up to the snuffs with some of those statutes, but there's an option for the board. But up front, to expedite this as quickly as possible, again, the only thing that I know of is to take it out of contingency, and then we can reimburse it there afterwards.
Is there a motion from the board, or any other questions for Stan?
I wish we'd had a chance to look these over, because I don't know what kind of a system.
This is a filtration system, and again, I've got the diagrams here, but there's 2 canisters, and I don't know if we can zoom into that, but I do have copies if anybody wants to see this, or I can email it. But there's 2 canisters at the initial inlet of the water from the well. Then there is a microcon filter that picks up the particles. But the 2 canisters are the most important piece of the whole system. They're a carbon filter. They mitigate the TCE and any other chemical that would be present, which we do have the water test. It was 4 pages long, and all 4 companies received this. And this is what the state of Maine is mandating for a filtration system. So,
How often do those filters have to be changed?
the cartridges are pretty much a lifelong thing. The microcon cartridge, which is the $10.80, it depends on how many particles are in the water. The one that I have in my home lasts more than 6 months. They come in a package of 2, which again is $10.80. But those details will have to be worked out with the homeowner, because again, we don't want them to incur any additional expenses. DEP, I will say, did say that they are going to continue doing testing because they're more qualified to do so, so that will not land on the town. The cost of the testing will be done and provided for by DEP, so there is no additional cost there. Again, with other information that we found and the concerns that CDC has, there'll be some other testing, which I contacted the homeowner residing at the house, that DEP will be coming in to possibly even drill through the foundation floor to see if there's anything under the foundation which would require something like a radon mitigation system. Again, this is all covered by DEP at this point. The liability for the town, if anybody's concerned about this, this happened prior to 1970 or about 1970. Again, there was no regulations at the time, even though common sense says that you don't dump chemicals in the ground, but landfills were the most common place for people to dump. The town of Limerick has, and I apologize, I used to be in Leamington, but in Limerick, had several dumps. One was located off in Central Avenue where the entrance to the trailer park is. Another one that we have determined was actually another dump site is located at the business park. So, and those are, the business park is the largest or highest concentration of TCE that we found. Across the street is the old salt shed, which again was a town property, and there was a dump site there. That has the second highest level of TCE and contaminants. Then for residential use, which is a dug well, so the concentration on Central Avenue right now is the surface level and not the bedrock level that we're finding over by the business park. So putting in an artesian well and going deeper may resolve some of that issue, but the immediate issue is that we have a dug well and it is surface level. We tested, or DEP tested the house next door, which has a deeper well. The water came out perfect other than some bacteria, which is common from surface water entering the well, and we believe that could be a cracked casing. Last week, they were in Limerick on Tuesday. They tested these areas again, plus they went across the street and tested some other wells. We don't have the results for those yet. So those I can provide to anybody when we do get them, particularly the people that are of the most concern, into the select board. But this is what we have as of today. There is, and you're going to wonder, is there a long-term liability? Well, they're town-owned landfills. One of them has a cap on it now. One of them was relocated. The one at the business park, we don't know. It could have been relocated, it could have been buried. At the time, that's when Lake Arrowhead was being developed, the business park was being developed, and there was a lot of litigation with DEP, the town, Lake Arrowhead, and that. So is there a long-term liability? Yes and no. The federal government has what they call a super fund, and we've been able to now find the primary sources, and there are other avenues we need to check. They do have equipment that rides along the surface of the ground and actually x-rays, and we can see drums or other types of things that could be deteriorating under the ground. And that is going to happen this summer. So that's what I have, but primarily tonight I'd like to get a decision on the filtration system, get that installed, and in a later meeting we can have a more informative session on the TCE contaminants throughout that area of town.
My concern, is there a fund that she can go to and get and pay for these filters? Well, 'cause this is no fault of hers.
Exactly, and there is a limited amount of funds, and there's a limited amount of liability for the town, and those pieces we need to work out. But up front, the cost is going to be covered either by the town or by DEP. So the canisters themselves do not need to be changed on a regular basis, and that will fall under the guidance of DEP. The cartridge will, because depending on the metallic sediments or whatever may be in the well itself, will be captured in that microfilter. But that does not have anything to do with the TCE. That's more of solids or stuff that's being captured from a ground surface well. Or a dug well is a better way to put it.
I'm just looking at a long-term, what she's gonna be paying through no fault of her own. Somebody should pick up the tab for that.
And I'm working on that, and I don't want to divulge, but there are some funds, including putting in a new well. But there are funds available. It's the dump site the dump site fund through the state. We also have government funds through the super fund of EPA, which is again the higher spectrum of DEP. So, but again, the importance and the focus is to get this mitigated and take care of as quickly as possible, and then I can work on the other details. And I know the family is in communication with you a lot, Howard, so I would appreciate any other concerns. I will do whatever I can. So,
Steve, did you have a question?
Yeah, Steve McLean, couple of things. Should town look into pay for moving this house off that lot? Or should we buy the lot and find another lot for this house? I mean, what the end result is, we're gonna put filters in, all right? I understand that's a temporary fix, but the fix is it's a dump. So should that house be located off that lot? All right, a lot of this stuff is coming through, all right? We know the business park, and we can't have water in the business park for drinking and that stuff, all right? But all the stuff is coming to light, and maybe some of this fund money, we can find out if there's money in that to relocate that house. I mean, the end result, it's not going away. Stan, I guess the question is, at some point in time, they're gonna dig up that area, and, or are we just gonna cap it and leave it like at the dump now? But if we cap it and leave it, there shouldn't be a house there. And what about the house next door? I guess, you know, now you're saying there's nothing there yet, but we know it is done at the business park. They've done the test, it's spread that whole area, so, you know. That's something the town now, you know, this has come to light. The canisters are gonna be a temporary thing, I understand that. But we gotta seriously think about, if that was a dump, maybe that building should be moved.
thank you, Steve. And those are very good things and things that we have talked about. But again, the immediate concern is addressing portable water. The business park does not have portable water because they do not have filtration systems. The salt shed does have portable water now. It was engineered by DEP with a filtration system. So it can be mitigated by a filtration system. Ledge Rock did not want portable water. They have posted it that way, so that is. But again, there's more information, and we're learning more, and we're learning more about the extent. One of the other things last year, I think I told you, they were going to put a transponder in the wells located in the business park and the well located across the street at the salt shed. They believe there's a crack in the bedrock and the water is going back and forth. So there are ways for them to do it. We just haven't proceeded with that yet, or they have not. It's not we. Again, the issue is getting this home with portable water so they don't get, I believe it's once a month, you get a pallet or 2 pallets of water delivered. Yeah. So to store that in a house is very inconvenient. So I will get more details. I will work with the families, and I know the board will. But I think the important thing is let's get the filtration system in there to bring them some normalcy back to their home.
Do you have any comments?
Guess put a face with this mess. I'm Jessica Gilpatrick Wynn. I reside at 236 Central Ave. And yeah, I have a 5 and 7-year-old. Right now, do you take a bath and soak in this water? Or do you take a shower? It's insane. It's insane. It's not my fault. It's a well-known dump in the town. It's the house I grew up in. I've been exposed since day one. I mean, yeah, life is difficult. Could be worse, I guess. But if you need more time to think about it, maybe put us up in a hotel or something for right now, because this is, yeah, it's getting tough. And I think it's been 2 months now. I would like something, even if it's a temporary system, and then you guys can go from there, or, yeah, move my house somewhere else, or me, whatever, I don't know. At this point, I'll do whatever, but just to return to normal as much as possible. And, yeah, let's see what the other water across the street they're more in line with our house, so,
So what is your concern based on what I just asked a question as far as the long-term costs of this whole situation for you?
well, it was presented to me that there would be no long-term cost to me, as long as I live there, that it'll be the town of Limerick or the government.
Well, if we're talking $10 for a filter, what's to say you're not gonna have another filter in there sooner or later?
Right,
There's too many questions here.
yeah, and I have,
Me, anyway, and I don't live there.
I have no idea about any of it. I honestly don't. We asked if, like, we could pay to have a system installed ourselves, and we were told by Stan and DEP that if we did anything like that, then we would be responsible for that from here on out. So I'm under the impression that, well, basically what I was told, if I wait for you guys to do it, then you'll take care of it. Or tear the house down. I don't know.
Stan, if we
that's it.
if we pick one of these and approve it tonight, will they be, you'll get it to them tomorrow and within 21 days it'll be done?
Yes, I will have a commitment date tomorrow afternoon. By tomorrow afternoon, I would like to be able to get a hold of Jessica and her family, let her know. That is the one thing I know Howard brought it up, is the ongoing filter system, which is the one that came in at $2,706.99 and then added this stuff at the bottom, whereas the other one didn't. And DEP right now is taking the lead with the testing and whatever requirement's going to be. So if something needs to be replaced at that point, DEP will work with the town to make sure this stuff happens, and this inconvenience level we've had for 2-3 months won't happen anymore. So, but that's the only other concern I had about the lower bid is they added this other stuff in there. If we add it to the initial cost, it's going to come out to the same, and is this a repeated cost, like Howard said? So.
The other question is, are there gonna be, once that system gets up and running, what's to say that's not gonna draw in some other contaminant from somewhere? Now we're gonna add to a system that's already existing. Who's gonna pick up the tab for that?
Right now, Howard, to answer your question, these systems were engineered by scientific people at a government level, not the state level. So we're dealing with the contaminants. We did learn a little bit more from the CDC last week. If there is anything ongoing, this is why DEP has stepped up and said they're going to do all the testing. They're going to do it whatever frequency is needed, and it will be more upfront to determine, is it changing, is it not changing? And then it will go by historic. I mean, if it's not needed to be done once a month or every other week, they'll start backing it off. But if there's any changes, it's going to be more frequent. But DEP at this point will take the lead. And again, the funds are available through the dump relief or the old landfill relief fund. And then I'm working on trying to get something established with the Superfund and I don't want to get into that part of it too much because the filter system is more important. But if we, at this point, we're on the verge of establishing most of where the contamination is, and the Superfund will help or will remove it. That's what those monies are for. But I want to deal with the issue.
In the event that that system's put in and it doesn't work as it's supposed to, is DEP gonna come back and say, we'll rip that out and put another system in?
Yes.
Do we have that in writing?
I do have it in an email. The thing is, they will coordinate it with the town, okay? So the town is going to be the legs of anything that's done. And one of the reasons is we've established a better rapport with the people that live in this town than DEP. So, but I'm pretty sure DEP's been pretty much in communication with you.
Yeah, they
All
were at
right.
the house last
So, and believe it or not, this started just short of 4 years ago, and this is where we are today. We've come a long ways in the 4 years.
Okay.
All right, is there a motion from the board?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to award the bid to Air and Water Quality Incorporated for $3,190.
I will second it for the purpose of discussion. The other bid did come in cheaper and was submitted sooner, but and it's not really about the money, but at 2 hours worth of work, then it's already over the first bid. And I think that this situation is something that needs to be rectified. So like you said, you can take a shower and not have to worry. You boil a pot of water for mac and cheese. I think it's something that needs to be rectified, and if the DEP does reimburse us the 90%, the town's responsible for $319 of it. And once again, I don't think it's about the money. I think it's important for, this situation, especially with it being a previous town dump, that we do have some sort of responsibility for this. Is there any other discussion?
I would just like to see that in writing from the DEP.
I will forward, I thought I had forwarded all the communications to the board, but I will forward more. And like I said,
You do have a statement from them, a signed
in an email,
statement.
yes.
In an email.
Yeah.
You want to add where you're going to take it from, where we're going to pay it from?
It could come out of our contingency fund for this year. I would recommend taking it out of contingency under the select board budget. You want to amend your motion?
Okay, I amend that for the Air and Water Quality Incorporated for $3,190 to be taken out of the contingency fund.
I will second that. Is there any further discussion? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? All right.
Thank you, and
Thank you.
I will keep everybody involved, especially the select board. Howard, I do appreciate your help with some of the stuff, too. I had a couple other things I wanted to give an update on 3 Division Road, but I also want to talk about the Dunkin' Donuts sidewalk, which there was a little confusion there. The coffee shop, as it was known back when it was presented to the town, the confusion was what was presented to the town for sidewalks was granite curbing and concrete surface of the sidewalk. When we got to the sidewalk, again, it's paved curbing and it's paved surface. That was negotiated between DOT and Sebago Technics and Limerick Crossing. And again, the reason is the cost involved. The town, when I got involved, they were looking for a third, the town a third, Limerick Crossing a third, and then DOT a third. From the beginning, I did discuss with the board and said the town is not putting 1 penny into the project. I did, on behalf of Limerick Crossing, go to Ace Hardware, into the bank, and to Limerick Supermarket, and ask if they wanted to contribute to lower that third for DOT. DOT's partnership program is they would give us up to $75,000 towards the project to reimburse Limerick Crossings for that third. It ended up being $67,000 or $64,000. The biggest part of that was we did have a site walk with DOT to put closure to it. The largest concern, and the homeowner that's involved is aware, is there was a mailbox put in the middle of the sidewalk. To us that have worked in this environment, it is a danger when you got equipment going down the sidewalk, and that could get caught up in an auger or whatever. It could also damage the equipment, but it's also a maintenance cost. The sidewalk, the town now has to maintain and preserve. So just like all the other sidewalks. So that was a concern. The property owner is aware that at this point the mailbox is there. If it gets demolished or disappears, it cannot go back in the sidewalk. So they have the choice of either putting it across the street, getting a post office box, or at their other driveway location off in Pine Street, or Pine Street Extension. So that's where we're at with that. That's what all the confusion was. There was 3 board members, myself there, along with John Kelley, who's the senior DOT engineer for Southern Maine, and then Shane Kelley, who is the Sebago technician who designed everything for Limerick Crossings. We went in depth. There's another concern, and we're working with DOT. James Libby is involved, and I don't know, I noticed he was talking to you this past week, so I don't know if he said anything about it, but we're working on doing some sort of visual distraction to highlight the crosswalk that crosses in front of the church to Dunkin' Donuts. Where the sign is, it's a very dark area. The crosswalk is right in line with the sign, and going through it at night, you can't see anybody crossing. So that was a very big concern of the select board at the time that was present. And the other thing is, during the day, even though that is a posted 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, a tractor trailer, while we were standing there, whizzed by at least 45 miles an hour. And I mean, if our hair wasn't attached to our head, it would have come off. So they do, and they are aware of it. Putting additional signs up, again, and this will be another subject I got to discuss for School Street, it isn't going to eliminate the problem. So a crosswalk, which was Bernie and Howard's idea originally, with maybe a button that would indicate crossing, would be more appropriate. The signs, people tend to ignore them just like the speed limit signs, so it's not going to help. Now that we're talking about Central Avenue, School Street, last week we received a complaint. They wanted DOT to do a traffic survey. Apparently they spoke to a past road commissioner who said that the road didn't, they said the road didn't belong to the town, it belonged to DOT. The correction is that is a town road. It is a very narrow road. DOT is responsible, along with the Maine State Police, in setting the speed limits upon a very detailed process to determine speed limits. I talked to Randy Alien and Peter Coughlin, who know me very well, and I don't agree with the speed limit, so I don't mind arguing with them if I think it's too high. But I do agree with them. Lowering the speed limit is actually going to cause a bigger problem, and what the resident wanted is to lower it to 15 miles an hour. That causes the problem with impatience. So anybody coming off from Burbank or Green Street or off from 160 onto School Street might be seeing a car coming at 15 miles an hour, and they want to run across the street or dodge out in front. Well, you think it's slow, I got time, you do it, the car's there, now you got an accident. So that's not an option. The road is already rated for no more than 10 tons. So discussing with both engineers with DOT, one of the avenues, we do have a road safety traffic ordinance, which is under the authority of the select board. We can now say no through trucks, which a commercial vehicle is rated anything, and it's in our road ordinance already, 26,000 pounds or over, okay? The exemption is your oil trucks, delivery trucks, those are exempt. The problem this resident has experienced with a small child, and they're concerned with, they saw a heavy truck going down the road at a very high rate of speed. What they're doing is that they're taking a shortcut to divert Main Street. It may be 3 seconds, but it's a shortcut. I don't want to go up Main Street and turn right onto Elm. So that is an option. I'm getting together with the road commissioner. We will sit down with Randy Alien and Peter Coughlin, and we will discuss with the residents some of these options. But that was there, and I know the board had seen the 8 or 10 emails that went back and forth, and I finally said, let me do some legwork, get some answers, and then we'll address it. Okay. The comprehensive committee, I would ask the board, because we haven't had any other than the 3 initial people interested, is I would like to move forward with those 3 people. If others want to get involved in the process afterwards, that's fine, but we're running into time constraints, and the biggest hindrance right now is going to be the comprehensive plan. We have 5 new housing laws coming into effect. Right now, we are a legislative body-run town, a municipality, so our effective date is July 1st of 2027. I'm applying for a grant of $15,000 to help absorb the cost, which is legal vetting, maybe Southern Maine planning, to help with some of the review process. But it will cost, and another town today in the meeting said it cost them $45,000 to do this process. They are a council-type government, so they are running out of time. Theirs is July 1st of 2026. So they didn't have a choice. The monies are not available until next month, so anybody that's already spent the money doesn't get reimbursed. So this town is out $45,000. But I would like to ask the board to go with the 3. Let's start the process. When the grant becomes available, I will send you the application filled out. We can, please review it, make sure I'm not missing anything, and then we'll submit it, and we can get up to $15,000 to help offset the cost that's going to be coming up. We currently have a subdivision moratorium of 7 or more, which was just in time because one of the parcels off on Coffin Hill Road of 150 acres sold, and their intent was to divide it into 105 lots. So that can't be done until we do the process of reviewing the ordinance, and the first step is the comprehensive plan. So I wanted to thank everybody for passing that moratorium, because the 5 new laws coming up are already in conflict with each other. So for us to go through the legal process of reviewing our ordinances and changing them, and then turning around that we have to change them again, would be kind of self-defeating. So that's that.
Stan, who do you have on that committee?
I'm sorry? I believe Dave McLean, Wendy Farran, Barron, and Joanne. Again, the comprehensive committee and the review of these ordinances, the more people involved, the better. In a comprehensive plan, you want your past, you want your present, and then you want your future. That's what this comprehensive plan is. Where do you see your town in 10 years or 20 years? This is how the planning board reviews things. This is how the ordinances are set. Is this the direction the town wants to go in? If we don't have them, you're going to have unregulated growth. And we've already experienced that. We've had almost 100 new homes in the last 2 years. We need to do some ordinances. We've got short-term rentals, which are becoming problematic along the lake. We don't have anything that can regulate them. We have a couple of apartment buildings that have been going back and forth between the board and the fire department and myself that are renting spaces or rooms. One is a 3-story building, and they're renting the attic to a mother and 4 children with no egress. We don't have any regulations. We haven't adopted anything, so we need to do these things. So that's what you got coming up, and I'll be educating more as we move forward. Okay? Those, I don't know if people remember, but Nevin Street in Portland, about around early 2000s, 2001, most of the residents in their house, because of egress issues, didn't survive. So that is 3 Division Road. And the only reason why I'm bringing this up, this has been ongoing. everybody has rights. The town does not want to take somebody's home away. Regardless of how we see it and the dangers it poses to health, it's still somebody's home, all right? These homeowners, the bank, mortgage company hasn't completed a foreclosure process, so they have not expressed any interest in taking it over and mitigating the issue. The homeowners cannot go back in the house. They have found a place to stay with a relative temporarily. They have expressed a desire to get a realtor involved, which just happened on Friday, to sell the property. The town is moving forward with procuring bids to demolish and dispose of the issue on that property. So there was an email today, and the attorney said, please feel free to tell them this. I don't want to instigate the problem, but the town is not stalling. But there is a process, and any opportunity that we can, and I know everybody agrees, to make that home livable for that owner, or that the owner can walk away with something, is every opportunity we do. The property is secured, it is posted. Sunday night of the big storm we had a week ago, I got a call, the state police got a call. We ventured to that property and it was unfounded. So it is secured, there is nobody there. There's no activity, the snow's all around it, we watch it. So for now, I think the issue is kept contained and we are continuing to move forward. Friday is the last day for the bids, and today I've actually had 4 or 5 requests for information on those bids to dispose of the property. But doing that is a last resort. There's no turning back once we demolish that home. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't.
And I apologize for taking up half the night, but
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Stan.
All right, that is all I have for department reports. I will move on to hearing of citizens. Cheryl?
Just a couple of, in the webpage, I was looking at the calendar and I thought, oh gosh, the calendar's all kind of empty this month, just you guys. And then I got reading above it and it said about the meetings and, you know, the special town, everything else. Just a little suggestion for us old people. If it was listed on the calendar as well, I mean, you glance at the calendar, the agenda, you know, and you can just pick up what day. The other one is just all kind of, just a suggestion, whatever, you know, it would just make it a little easier. Yep. And then, don't want to get into trouble, I'm just asking a question. And I asked the fire chief a question a couple weeks ago, and he was very nice and explained things to me that I didn't understand. But I noticed there was a lot of, there was hauling the snow off because the storms that we've had. Whose snow goes up to the snow dump?
I know the snow from the town-owned properties.
Yeah.
And the sidewalks. That is all I'm aware of.
And that's it, just the 2 contractors that hauled it, okay. Is that included in their contracts, or is it additionally paid?
The ability to dump there?
The cost of moving it, or that's up to them? They just have you guys just show them, offer them a place to dump it?
I can review the contract and get back to you. I'm not sure off the top of my head. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to provide.
Oh, yes, yeah, I understand that you have to have a place. You can't just, you know, melt it, you know, there's a place that needs to be dumped. I just didn't know whether the cost of the removal is included in the contract or if it's additional. Oh, okay, thank you.
It's included.
Okay, thank you.
It's included.
It
There's
is.
no surprises, the price is the price.
Whatever it
Per
is, yeah.
storm, all the
That's
snow
for you.
removal
How
is
about
included.
Nick? How about Nick's?
I think Nick's, part of Nick's contract is it's required to be removed from,
Per stone, actually, in the contract, if you want to read that. It's removal as, removed from the sidewalks, but, yeah. Okay, just curious.
I have a copy of the contract if you'd like to read it.
I have a copy right here.
Yeah, and the snow removal is included in that price,
Okay.
unconditional. And it's from both fire stations, the old one, the new one, the municipal building, behind the town hall, the Grange Hall, and if needed, the transfer station. We always push the snow back down there. And the boat launch, we try to push a majority of it over, but when it comes bottlenecked up, we do take a few loads out. So
Okay.
it's all included in the contract.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any other hearing assistants?
Mayor Farron, I just want to say something positive. Thank you for getting the new town road plow contractor, because the roads have been phenomenal. Not that every other place is not phenomenal too, I'm not trying to say that. But I just want to say that there were so many problems last year. Thank you for making those changes, and pass on a thank you to the contractor that's doing that.
I will.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there any other hearing assistants? You're going that way? Okay. No? All right, I am seeing no more hearing assistants. We'll move on to old business. First on old business, I have review of legal accounts. We do have 2 legal bills this week. We have a $38.06 one having to do with the treasurer, and we have a $1,400 one which was classified as general government, which had various costs in there, some from the CEO and some from personnel matters throughout the town. Municipal parking lot paving update. Anything new on that?
Nothing.
Okie dokie. Deep Vale update, just so everybody is aware, I had drafted an email to send to the treasurer today asking about setting up the account, making sure that's set up. I just didn't get a chance to send it before I left my job today. But I do plan on sending that so we have a dedicated Deep Vale account set up. And there may already be one set up. I just want to make sure and get the account number for that. Gail, do you have anything on that one?
Yes, we've received invoices
Okay.
that are going to hit these accounts as soon as they're set up. I'd also, I sent a letter, an email to all of you last Wednesday, I believe, asking that the $1 million
For the Hollandville.
for the Hollandville grant is in 2024 revenues. We've made it that far. The $975,000 plus of expenses that was paid for by the loan is in the Deep Vale project, showing a $975,000 negative amount. So I'm hoping that the $1 million will be applied to the expense, and the $25,000 will be moved to Deep Vale. That is the residual. What I've just asked for was legislated and voted on and approved by the voters of this town. So I'm hoping that everything is in place for this to be done maybe this week.
I did forward this email to the treasurer and asked, because you did have the question if any legislation need to be done. I did
Correct.
forward it to the treasurer to see what she recommends or what is needed to get this completed. And I'm still waiting for a response.
And I attached to that email a number of pieces of legislation.
Yep.
I'm not sure, standing here, if I did every one of them, but I have them if she needs them.
Okay.
Okay?
I will let her know. It looks
So-
like you attached the warrant, the results from the election, and the Hollandville status PDF.
Okay. There's also legislation that was done for ARPA and the CDBG grant, but that's in the memos that you said you sent already today, or you're about to send. Okay, so we should be able, by the end of this week, to process some invoices. Would you say that's true?
If there isn't too many issues, I know she's dealing with some issues from the payroll company right now.
Okay.
So those are,
From the auditor, too.
yeah, and there's a couple more from the auditor. But I did forward these to her and asked her to get back to me as soon as
Okay.
possible.
All right.
She is very busy, though.
I understand, but this is 2023 and 2024 legislation. Okay. Want to make sure. I guess we're good. Thank you very
Right,
much.
Thank you. Discussion of system administrator. I think the select board needs to make another workshop or an executive session to discuss this. I did ask for a proposal from the second person we met with, and I haven't heard back yet, or I haven't seen that come back through. But we do want to either decide what we want to do moving forward, whether we ask Mr. Modem Waves if he'd be willing to extend, or what, or if we just want to make a decision now. But I definitely think we should figure this out.
We should have a workshop.
Yep. And so we do have a calendar here. Thank you. Do we want to do a workshop on next Monday? It would just be us to talk about the options that we've had received. Does that work for everybody?
It's fine with
At
me.
6 p.m.?
Okay.
Okay.
The 12th?
The 9th.
Ninth.
Oh, sorry.
So we will have a select board workshop on the 9th at 6 p.m. with the select board meeting to follow. The workshop will be to discuss the system administrator. And that is open to the public if they want to attend. Howard, is there anything new on the auditing firm?
I've talked to a couple others, but I've got no response
Okay.
as far as proposals. I want to get this thing wrapped up this week.
Okay.
It's just these guys are very difficult to deal with.
Yeah. Gail, is there anything on the SOP grant update, or is it still a work in progress?
If you
Once
start
we-
doing what we just discussed, it will move forward.
Okay. Nothing new on the rec director. If we don't have anything in the next couple weeks, I think we need to find out how to revisit that, whether it's, advertising it a little bit. I mean, it's already advertised, but I just don't want that. I know a lot of planning goes into summer events, so I want to make sure that we do provide the events for the children in this town. Job descriptions for the deputy positions, I did review them and I didn't see anything to, okay, you haven't. I didn't see anything that really stood out there. You know, we had some input in there from the current positions on what they would assume their deputies would do. And so I trust them in making those decisions. But we can come back next week once we've all had a chance to review them. June ballot articles, proposed articles that we need to discuss. 3 contracts that are due in May. There's 3 contracts that are coming up for bid. Fire department money that needs to be moved, money for Grange Hall ceiling, and the town accepting Emma's Way as a town-owned road. So that's what is on the proposed articles now. Does anybody have anything else they're thinking of?
We'd be ready to put in an article for the parking lot.
For the parking lot? Okay.
We do want to, our contracts, get those out to bid sooner than later, so there are questions on the June ballot.
When is the deadline to have the items back for the June ballot?
Before, so it'll be in April sometime.
Okay.
Just to give us enough time.
Yeah,
We
I
want
just
those
haven't.
Contracts to go back to our new lawyers for, like our new lawyer. Like,
Yeah.
Like, there's just time that I don't want us to get to where we're.
Yep. Yeah, I just haven't, I'll be the first to admit, I haven't had enough time in this last week to review these contracts and see the changes. But I do want to, I did say in this meeting a couple months ago that I believe once it's due, everything should go out to bid, and I will stand by that.
Definitely.
So that is all I have for the June ballot articles and for old business. So I will move on to new business. I know there's nothing on the agenda. I did notice the select board meeting on the 17th, I will not be able to attend. That's moved because of the Monday holiday. We do have a, this calendar's weird. We do have a special town meeting and a public hearing on that Thursday that I will be able to attend, but I will not be able to attend on Tuesday, so I don't know if we want to reschedule that. We don't have, the building's not open on Monday. Wednesday is a planning board meeting. So Thursday's a special town meeting, so the only other day would be the 20th. So I don't know if the board wants to reschedule that. I can be there on the 20th if needed, but I will not be there on the 17th.
Not much sense in it, is there? If we get the special town meeting.
Yeah,
It's all taken care of.
Yeah.
I should just move that time to the 18th.
Move what time?
It's supposed to be for close, which is Tuesday on the 18th.
Yeah, so right now we're closed on the 15th or the 16th because of the holiday. And so we moved our select board meeting to that Tuesday.
Right,
But there's a planning board meeting on Wednesday, so this room won't be available.
so move it to Thursday.
We have the special town meeting.
Well,
At the fire station.
I mean,
we could have it then.
we just risk the special town meeting does have to start at 6 PM. I started it a minute late. Yeah, we can.
Let's do it after.
So move the select board meeting to after the special town meeting? Do you want to make that?
Between the public hearing? You have a public hearing after the special town meeting. Do I not have that on my calendar?
You do.
Okay, so we have the special town meeting starting at 6, which was the public hearing was supposed to start at 6.
Follow.
We're starting with that, then we're going into the public hearing for the March ballot. So all I could maybe suggest is in between the two, looking at, I mean, I can certainly put an agenda together that's priority that we have to, maybe warrants, I can bring a warrant. Well, actually, you'll have to come in and do payroll before that, but the warrants we could do, and if there's anything that needs addressing that night in
You've got to
between
be
the
signing
two.
stuff for Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I have a prior commitment at the typical meeting. I won't be able to, I can meet after, start at 8 PM if we want, but I don't think we want to do that.
What about meeting
I
earlier
don't care.
in the day before planning board?
I am busy from 7:45 or from 6:45 till 6:45 AM till 6:45 PM
On Wednesday?
on Tuesday. I mean,
I'm talking Wednesday.
Okay.
And then before the planning board, yes, it's in the afternoon.
Yeah.
But
6 to 7.
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. I mean, I'm not trying to cancel the meeting. I just want to make it aware now that I can't be there on the 17th. So we can have the meeting on
18th.
the 18th from 6 to 7 with the planning boarding meeting to follow. We'll be out of your hair by then. Okay? Appointments and resignations, I have nothing in there. Discussion of the agenda items. Does anybody have any discussion? Gail, I saw Gail's hand first.
There is an approved SOP 0002. It's posted on the website. It's for moving money at the end of the year. Usually the first week of January has been historically when it's been done. That SOP is for moving franchise fees, 30% to capital, 70% to operations. 2024 has not been done. I do not know if there's any adjusting entries. I don't know that. It shouldn't be an adjusting entry. It's an SOP. It's done every year. It's been done for 15 years. It also has not been done for 2025. You have less than $2,000 in the account to purchase hardware, and the money is in the general fund. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl?
After speaking with the fire chief the other night, I'm realizing that he's gone to fire chief, we need a deputy. Is that job description for deputy positions, is that for the town clerk, tax collector, and the fire deputy?
So the deputy chief has already been appointed.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
so it's appointed, not, okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Did you have anything? No. Is there any other discussion of agenda items? Seeing none. Does the select board have any correspondence they want to share? I will just share that I did reach out to the plowing contractor, as I did have another photo of the salt and sand as of 8:19 on Saturday morning, being around 15 yards. I reached out and he informed me that he will be having that fully stockpiled to the 2,000 as required in the contract tomorrow. So I just want to share that information with the town. And if there's nothing else, I look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? All right, thank you so much.